Welcome to the next video of the RC Brothers Switzerland. Today, very briefly, we want to share what kind of batteries we use and what kind of charger we use. And as we have said in previous videos, we buy planes from Horizon Hobby, E-Flight and Hobby Zone. And we have Spektrum batteries, smart batteries and a Spektrum charger. And without any further ado, here is our Spektrum Smart Charger. It's a S2100. It has 2 ports. We can highly recommend it. This is one that came out about a year ago. And there are a couple of different ones that you can buy, different sizes. They're more expensive than the non-smart chargers, but we think it's absolutely worth it, particularly if you're new to the hobby. You want to have less worries, you want to make less mistakes, particularly with LiPo batteries, and this thing is going to make your life much easier. On top of that, you should definitely purchase the following things. You should have some LiPo boxes or LiPo bags. This is more like a bag, it's not really a box, although it says box on it. Here is a bigger one, and these are really good to charge your batteries at home. So while you're charging them, you actually can put them in one of those LiPo bags. And of course, they're fantastic to take your LiPo batteries to the field, to the flying field. On top of that, you should definitely get a checker, and this is a voltage checker. So every time before you fly, please learn that. Make sure you check your flight batteries. Now, if you have a smart system, smart batteries, smart ESC, all kinds of smart technologies from Spektrum and Horizon Hobby, it will also tell you, in case you have not checked, how much charge your battery is. It will tell you if you put a battery into a plane that is not fully charged for flying. It will let you know, so that's also a great thing. But this is great, so after charging you can check it. From time to time you can check your batteries. I'm not going to show you how it works. There are plenty of videos of this little gadget, very cheap, on YouTube, so check it out. We certainly like it. Spektrum has its own smart checker, which is way more expensive. It is fantastic because it does all kinds of other things that, for example, also the charger is doing. We bought this first, so that's why we don't have the other one, and at the moment we don't need it. But certainly, by all means, the smart checker by Spektrum is a great thing to have. We just don't need it. We charge everything at home and not on the field, and this checker does also a good job for what it has to do. Now, where else do we store our LiPo batteries? We have 3 of these. Whoa, there's a couple inside. This is a bat safe, so-called bat safe. This is specially made, specially designed. We have all our 2S, 3S and 4S LiPo batteries in storage charge mode inside 3 of these. There's a special voltage or milliampere number per unit. So don't fill it up to the rim. You have to make sure you do some calculations, and you need to know how many batteries in maximum you can put inside. And there's special air vents. You can also charge your LiPos while there's a LiPo inside, and there is an opening here that you can feed the cord through, and you can charge it while actually a battery is inside the bat box. But we don't do that. We use the other bags that I've shown you before. This is more for permanent and long-term storage, and we have 3 of those in the basement. Okay. Try to keep them as far away from any fire hazards as possible. There's nothing 100% in life, there's nothing 100% about LiPo batteries, but if you're using smart batteries, certainly you can reduce the risk. And here are our 3 batteries that we are at the moment using, the smart ones. This is one of the most common ones. It's a 3S, 3-cell, 2200 milliampere. A lot of our planes, a lot of Horizon Hobby planes use it. We have another good tip. Make sure that you write the number. So this is number 5. It's not very nicely written on this one. On it, so we number them. We have 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 5. And this was purchased and first used, as you can see, in November 20, 11/20. So that's really important to put put a sticker on every single on every single LiPo battery that you have. This is a 3S 3200, so this is also 3S. 3S shows the power, or how powerful your battery is. The 3200 versus the 2200, what does it mean? With the 3200, if your model can accommodate it from size-wise, it will fly longer. It's not more powerful. They're both 3S smart batteries, but the 3200 is the one that you can fly for a longer time. Now, let me show you this comparison. Now you can see a 3S compared to a 4S, a 4-cell battery. It's much thicker. You can see the number a little bit more nicely there. Number 2, this is our second battery of a series. Started this in March 21, so not long ago, a month ago. We flew it for the first time, this battery. And you can see it is quite thicker, but otherwise the same size as the 3S. So these are the ones we have. We have, I would say, about 6 of each, more or less, 4 to 6 of each of those. And that gives us plenty of options for all our 8 planes that we have that take 3S and 4S batteries. They're all smart batteries. Oh, by the way, of course, what makes a smart battery compared to a dumb battery? There's a chip inside. There's a computer chip inside, and that chip has all kinds of information. The moment you plug it into your smart charger, not a regular charger, into your smart charger, a lot of information is immediately being exchanged. Of course, not just how many cells the battery has, how many times it has been charged, how many times it has been undercharged, overcharged, all kinds of information. What's the current temperature of the battery? And the coolest thing, really the coolest thing, is that you can set each battery individually using the smart charger, or if you have the smart checker from Spektrum, to go to a storage charge, So if you don't fly a battery for more than 3 or 4 or 5 days, I think the maximum is about a week you can leave a battery fully charged, and then you should really go down. Otherwise it's dangerous, and it's also really bad for the battery. So they can auto discharge. You set it, you can choose between 0, well then there's no auto discharge, to 240 hours. So we normally set it at 72. So we decide to go flying, we take 6 of the batteries, we charge them, we take them to the field. Suddenly the rain comes, we only fly 3 of them, we come home, we don't have to worry. We just put them away into the LiPo, into the bat-safe storage box. Nothing to worry about. If we don't go flying within the next 72 hours, they will auto discharge to go down to the storage, to the recommended storage voltage, which is fantastic. So why not invest in this? If you're a beginner, if you're watching this, you're an RC pilot beginner. So we highly recommend it. According to other people who've been flying for years and are using them, they're also really high quality. So my assumption is they're also going to last longer. So yes, you're going to save some money on buying dumb batteries, but they're less safe. They don't have this auto discharge possibility, and I don't know about the quality. So a lot of those on the market are not necessarily the best, but these definitely are. Here's, by the way, just an example of a dumb battery, and that's a 2S. So quick comparison, size comparison. Whoa, pretty impressive between a big jump from a 2S LiPo battery to a 3S. So 2S much weaker, 3S stronger, 4S even stronger. The next step would be a big 6S pack. We don't have any planes yet that take 6S, and at the moment that's not what we're planning to do so soon. So all our 8 average size 1.1 meter to 1.5 meter planes take the 3S or the 4S batteries that you have seen, those 3. And then we have 5 UMX planes. 4 of those take those little 2S batteries. And there's a new one, of course. There's the A10. We're going to soon start a series introducing our planes and telling you why we love them and why they're good and why you should buy those as opposed to others. And that one, that A10, actually has a 3S, a brand new one, 850 milliamps. We don't have the battery yet because it's not available in Switzerland, so we're still waiting for it to come. Now, just a few words about cells, 1S and so on. We started the hobby with two planes, the UMX Sport Cup S2 and the UMX Radian 1S. For us, that was a mistake. It didn't work. They're very weak. Everything that you've learned on the simulator, that you've learned on YouTube videos, you go out there, there's a little breeze, there's a little bit wind, your plane gets lost. There's plenty of accounts on the internet of people who have started with something with a UMX 1S and the plane just flew away. They couldn't get it down anymore, they couldn't control it, and it was gone. Something similar happened to us. It was actually really blown over a building. We just couldn't handle it, and it landed on the other side of the building. We were very lucky not to cause any damage or any traffic problems or injure anybody. Or it's an itsy bitty small plane. Nevertheless, if you lose control, you don't see it anymore, you don't know where it's coming down. It could come down on a car, and that car could brake like crazy and crash into another car. You never know, so please do not underestimate this hobby. Please be responsible. Yeah, we don't recommend them. Also, the UMX Radian, very difficult to control. It doesn't mean that it's not possible to control them, but you have to be a little bit an advanced pilot, and you really have to enjoy some of the weaknesses of this plane, or the fact that it's so light, and maybe you're an indoor pilot, maybe you have a chance to go into a really big gym, because we tried this once with one of those planes, and that was very difficult. It's very difficult. A plane shouldn't have a ceiling. Yeah, it should be out in the sky, in the free. There's already the ground that is the limit, and the ground is already dangerous for any plane. So it doesn't need any walls, and it doesn't need any ceiling. They're very special, very, very, very light indoor planes. And those might be better, but they're very difficult to handle, so don't think that's what you can do. There is the Night Vapor, which is a 1S. It looks like a butterfly. I hardly want to describe it as a plane. I don't want to badmouth it at all, because we don't have it, but we don't like that 1S stuff. You also need another charger. Most chargers do 2S upwards. And for the 1S, a 1S battery is like a USB stick. That's about the size it is. And seriously, then you need a separate charger, and you need 1S batteries. We had them, we sold everything. They're weak. I mean, this UMX Night Vapor might be something funny, but very few of us can fly in our house or in our living room. And the moment you go into your front yard or backyard, normally there's some wind, and you're gonna lose it. Okay, they do look cool in a summer night, when it's or in an early morning when there's not much light, because the Night Vapor does have a lot of lights, and it could be a lot of fun. But again, you need to be already a more experienced, at least an intermediate pilot, to control one of those light planes. It looks so easy, even with safe technology and AS3X. It's not. So our recommendation is at least start with a 2S Turbo Timber, UMX Turbo Timber, the very, very best UMX plane that there is. We nearly gave up our hobby, this hobby that we started, because we had a horrible experience with a guy who was trying to show us his way of flying indoors with that Sport Cup S2, and it was awful. It just didn't work. We crashed into the wall the whole time, and we damaged the plane, and we had absolutely no fun, my son and me. And outside, those two planes were just too light. We couldn't control them. They were always crashing, or yeah, we looked like idiots. And we nearly gave up, and I decided then to buy the Turbo Timber, and immediately it worked, because we actually could fly. It just, finally we had a plane that could handle a little bit the wind, and it can. The UMX Turbo Timber, any of those 2S planes can handle some wind, and suddenly you have control, and suddenly flying was fun. So our recommendation, don't start with anything with 1S. Now, in general, UMX, UMX means ultra micro extreme. They are really not necessarily for the beginner, maybe except that Turbo Timber that saved our life, so to speak, our hobby life. You also have to consider, are you learning on a flying field? Are you learning just on a big field that the farmer said it's okay, you can fly over my cows, really ask first? Or how much space do you have? You go fly in a park in Switzerland, you're not allowed to do that. Okay, where there's people, you're not allowed. And that's a good thing, because as soon as the planes get a little bit bigger, I mean, that one is a 1.1 meter T-28 Trojan with a big propeller that can really injure you and really hurt you if that thing comes crashing down on people or animals or property. So you need to know where you fly. And so far, we're very happy with the 2S to 4S range. 4S is very powerful. You need to be a little bit, I would say, not a beginner. You should be an intermediate pilot. You should know your plane. Probably it's a plane that can take both the 3S and the 4S batteries, and fly it first on the 3S. So what are some good beginner planes? Certainly the Hobby Zone Aero Scout, but be careful, it's a pusher and it's quite fast. It's faster than what people think. It's the only plane that we ever crashed, okay, because it's our first big one, quote unquote, 1.1 meter. Much better is the Apprentice. We don't have the Mini Apprentice, but that's probably also a good choice. The Apprentice is 1.5 meters, you really need the space. You need the space if you have a big plane or a fast plane, you need the space. You can't just go onto a football field. The Aero Scout, for an advanced pilot, yes, but for a beginner pilot, not a chance. By the moment you take off, it's probably going to fly away from that football field, into the next fence, into the next tree, into the next building. So that's not a good idea. So you need to make a choice. Yeah, bigger is better. Bigger is much more stable, can handle the wind better. The Concendo Evolution is a motor glider, and if you use it on 3S and somebody helps you on takeoff and helps you maybe to land the plane with a body box system, which we I think talked about already earlier in our second video, that's a plane you could learn with. A motor glider is much easier to fly, 1.5 meter, but it's definitely not easy to land. Landing is the most difficult for all planes. And the Concendo Evolution does not want to come down, okay? It wants to continue to glide and fly even 1 meter over the ground. So that was a little bit about what we use, what we can recommend. We don't want to talk badmouth anything really that we don't use. We just want to tell you what we felt was really good and warn you about the 1S models and about, they also cost money. They also break eventually or fly away, and they might turn you off from the hobby. So we think 2S is okay. We're actually getting away. I mean, we will always have a UMX Turbo Timber. We actually have two. We also have this guy. It's being discontinued from Horizon Hobby. It's a pity, but it's really cool. This is our first EDF. Actually, we have two, and this is the nice one. This is the one that hasn't flown. It's our reserve, and the other one doesn't have landing gear because we took it off and we belly landed. We hand launch it. It's our first EDF. It's only a 2S battery. It really helped us understand how EDF works and how to fly a jet. Horizon has, Hobby has understood that a 28 millimeter single propeller, which is inside here, electric ducted fan, that's what EDF means, is not powerful enough. Well, we think it was okay for this plane, but so basically now all they do is twin motors for this size with EDFs, and they come at 30 millimeters, so 2 times 30 millimeters, and this is also our A10, which we can show you in a separate video. We have a lot of fun with this plane, so this is basically something we're going to fly. These two MiG-15s we're going to fly until they break and they don't live anymore, and we will always have at least one UMX Turbo Timber because that plane is absolutely totally cool. And other than that, I don't think we're ever going to buy any 2S UMX planes anymore because they are also for us by now a little bit too weak. But the cool thing about UMX planes, by the way, you can't have enough of them. You can collect them, you can buy some of the old ones, you can put them on display, they don't take much space, they all come in a box that you can carry and store them and transport them to the field and back home. But they are also limited in power in what they can do. So far our experience has been that it's nicer to fly the Trojan that you can see in the back, anything from 1.1 meter to 1.5 meters. It's also always something you need to consider. How big is your car? Do you want to take the wings off? Do you want to leave the wings on? We're two people in the car. My son still is sitting in a children's seat, so we don't have big cars, most of us in Switzerland, not that much space. So we really have to also consider what we're buying from a point of view of size. The new Draco looks absolutely gorgeous. We would love to have one, but it might just be impossible because otherwise only one of us can go to fly, and that would be me, and my 7-year-old son would have to stay home because otherwise there's no space for him and the Draco in the car. So that's also something you should consider. Anyhow, next time we will show you all the planes. Again, also this guy. We'll talk more about all of our models. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and cheers. Goodbye from Switzerland for today.